really think you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy?
Hey, motherfucker, what do you like to do?
Oh, I don't know. Play chess. Screw.
Well, let's play chess.
They give off to Jonathan Taylor. Jump cutting his way close to the goal line. He's in there. Touchdown. I-N-D-Y. Jonathan Taylor.
Wheeler finds Quan from the logo.
Here's Halliburton into the front court. Mishandled it, but gets a shot. Hits it. Hits it.
John, I have never been better to be on the air with you here in Indianapolis, a place where so many of my dreams have come true.
The Ride with JMV on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Side opposite us. Forlays into Howard. Cunningham guarding her. 8 seconds to go, and the game tied at 81. 5 seconds to go. Howard pulls a three. Air ball caught by Reese. Puts it up. No. Second chance. No. Put 5 more minutes on the clock. Overtime coming. 81-78, 1:20 to go. Huge possession here to Hillman. A three in front of the Indiana bench. No good to the weak side. Rebound caught by Kelsey. 70 seconds left. Kelsey, super fast, into the corner. Pops a three. Ties the game. 1:05 to go. It's 81-81.
John Nolan and Bria Goss right there on the call yesterday. The Fever get a road win in a game in which, honestly, if you watch them in the latter portions of the second half, that probably should have been an L. And then when you watch one of the worst plays out of a timeout ever designed to get a 30-foot three-point look that was about 5 feet short, that Angel Reese grabbed and put back up, and oftentimes in WNBA fashion, missed the layup. Missed the layup that was the game winner, and the Fever take advantage. I've said this all along. All you really have to do is continue to win, and then everybody else shuts up. I mean, some people won't shut up. There are a lot of fans out there that don't like the coach and want to always make something out of that, but if you continue to win and you continue to do what everybody expects you to do, then that goes away. Or at least most of it, a lot of it goes away. Some of these nuts are just that nuts, and they're never going to go away. And they're always going to continue down that path. The weird FIBA women's basketball break that they're going to take, that's going to be interesting too. Because I compared this, and I was talking about it yesterday as well, but I compared the Fever and I have with you in the past to the Pacers. Going back the year before last. And then the year before that. Because they play with pace. They are shot makers. They have the ultimate distributor. And Caitlin Clark is the ultimate. And here's how you can tell. You can tell because sometimes she throws passes that, simply put, her teammates just are not equipped to catch. She is ahead of it. Now, she also has some shot selection at times that can be questionable, although I will tell you that it's a lot better. There are a lot of things they've cleaned up. Now, a lot of things that Stephanie White has cleaned up. And again, a lot of you won't notice it, won't care about it because it's a foregone conclusion, especially if you're not bright, that they need a new coach and, hey, the coach is holding them back. Look at their scoring. Yeah, look at their scoring. Shut up. But winning will continue to have those scurry that normally would have a lot to say about crap, which is a good thing. And I will say that the same thing goes for the Colts, although I don't know, and I know no practice today, no practice tomorrow. We're going to be up there coming up on Thursday. DeForest Buckner is going to join me, I believe, coming up on Thursday's show. We're loaded and good to go for the rest of the week. Actually, 3 roadies beginning Wednesday at the State Fair. That is for the Governor's Cup, and I'll follow up Jake, who is also out there. I was out at the State Fair on Saturday. It was, like everything else, incredibly wet. But things did clear off, and I got some jumpers in. They did a Dust Bowl Invitational, and I want to give a shout-out because Austin is the guy out there that put it all together. And it would be a fun event if everybody wasn't having to jack around with the weather. And then obviously we don't make light of that because there are so many of our friends and our neighbors out there that are going through stuff right now that's unprecedented. Even if you have lived for a number of years in a situation that is described as a floodplain, there are some portions of the state of Indiana. I don't know if you zeroed in and around Muncie or Newcastle, East Central Indiana, Eastern Indiana, some of the asinine, ridiculous rain totals. And having to deal with that. And then those further downstream, so to speak, like the White River. Our friends in Noblesville and in Carmel with thoroughfares compromised due to the rushing in water, having to deal with that. Further down the White River, going to Waverly, around where I live, in those low-lying areas, having to deal with it. It has been beyond belief. And I'm going to have information for you coming up a little bit later on where, again, I said this on Friday and we were talking downtown at Pivot Bar and Balcony that this is where the state of Indiana is the absolute best. Most of us know basketball. Some don't, but most of us do. But what we all know around here is helping one another. And I'm always proud to see the scramble and the response of Hoosiers helping Hoosiers. And this is going to be yet another opportunity. This is a significant opportunity for those of you out there to help those that are going through, again, unprecedented times. And it massively stinks. But you look at the helping hand with neighbors, with friends, hell, with people that don't know one another. Just Hoosiers helping Hoosiers. I'm not trying to write a Hallmark card right here. I'm just telling you the truth. One of the big reasons why I love this state, that oftentimes if you're from outside, you know this to be true. If you're like me and you're deeply woven into the fabric of this state, oftentimes we get made fun of a great deal. But the one thing you cannot do is watching the friends and neighbors, and again, oftentimes people that don't know one another, helping each other. Times like this. Got information for you coming up a little bit later on. We're going to partner up, I know, here with Urban One, with CBS 4 and Fox 59. And we're all going to be in it to help. And help a lot of folks certainly get back on their feet. I can't remember an August like this. Normally, August is hot and humid and dry. It has been absurd. So we are thinking about you, and obviously we are in it to help. And I will lay some of those details on you a little bit later on as to how everybody can help. And I did want to give a shout out to the State Fair as well, because they're having to dodge a lot of things and, cancellations and postponements and trying to handle it the way that you can weather-wise. And I saw that on Saturday morning, but they got started again. And hopefully coming up this week, you're going to have some weather that is more conducive, certainly to this time of year, because this has been a pain in the rear for real. We got that. I mentioned the Colts as well. Trying to prove to people the Colts situation. Obviously, we all now question whether or not Alec Pierce is going to be good to go for the start of the season. I think we question that anyway. Anybody that's been around this thing for a long time, especially the last 10 years, you're really going to question that anyway. This is not all of a sudden sideswiping you or surprising. You're going, all right, that's what I thought. And that's where we are. I would be shocked the way this thing is going in week number 1. And that is yet another reason why you wonder, with the finances they have and knowing the situation, why you haven't decided to go a little bit more pointed, and, maybe it is going to be keeping Will Mallory around and having an extra tight end. The wide receiver position, and you constantly have me saying this, is so stinking important. It has to just drive all of us insane, seemingly, that is always the topic of discussion. The NFL is about playmaking ability. And let's face it, there are certain positions in the NFL or football in general where the playmaking ability is certainly much more profound and needed than other positions. So just kind of sitting around and waiting, and no matter what the situation is, just even if Alec Pierce is on the rebound, I still wonder why you wouldn't necessarily look for something right now anyway. This is an all-hands-on-deck season. I saw somebody from ESPN reference, I think it was this morning. By the way, there's zero way this voice is going to last until 5 o'clock today. I hope you know this. Caleb Zuver may be getting his first opportunity to come in. Hey. I don't know what's going on with the host of the show, but he's foobarred. I had a bad day yesterday, I guess. I don't know what the hell happened.
I'm really interested to hear what you have to say
I
about the
didn't do
Colts,
anything.
but
Yeah.
I think we should at some point later on get to just a travesty that happened yesterday morning.
The
at Center
travesty.
Grove
Yeah.
Central.
It's almost like I got my ass whipped. Seriously,
you did.
I took a beating yesterday.
And
that's why,
right now.
That's why Tucker Barnhart had purchased for me the LifeLock, the wristwatch, because while I'm going to be 57 years old, I don't think I act and participate and still move around like I'm 57, but unfortunately, I fall like I'm 95. Seriously, it's like a house of cards, my body. And when it falls, it is a mess. Exactly the way it was yesterday. That is Caleb Zuver, who may end up getting a little bit of run on this show coming up later, too, the way this is going right now. We got more Colts stuff for you, too. I'll be up there coming up on Thursday. I mentioned DeForest Buckner is going to join us. You have the joint practices back-to-back with the Atlanta Falcons, and then the Falcons coming up on Saturday. We'll have the pregame show coverage live downtown for that as well in the Colts pregame huddle. So we shall be good to go. I love it when Scotty J, he creates for us the Pacers schedule every year. Now, last year, we kind of knew exactly the path that they were taking, and I tried to talk you into it. Others tried to talk me into it, and 19 wins later, it didn't work out. But you love to get the schedule, and we found out the schedule last week. And I would agree with Tyrese Halliburton when he was outspoken about, hey, how is my return not on national TV? How is my return not at home? 100%. That is why the rest of the NBA and the schedule makers specifically, unfortunately, they do not view Tyrese Halliburton as Tyrese Halliburton should be viewed. How many times have I told you that? It's all about the volume scorers. It's all about those that are making waves and making headlines through those waves. When we all know this to be true, it should be about the player that makes everybody else better. And there is nobody in the NBA that does that, as well as Tyrese Halliburton. Simply put. Oh, and by the way, too, it's not like that, this is just some guy that nobody should be talking about because they haven't proven anything. There's plenty of proof right there. But now he's 100% accurate. They should be starting out in a nationally televised game, or at the very least, they should be breaking out things at home on night number one. It is, and I'm not going to play this card because I know that it's tired, but you look around and just take a little bit of motivation from that. Around every corner, you can find motivation as to why nobody believes. We've seen the product. We understand. But why nobody believes? This is Tyrese Halliburton on the start of the season situation.
Name any other person that you compare to my level of a basketball player, wherever you have me ranked. If they tore their Achilles and missed 16 months, do you think that game would be on national television?
Yeah.
Yeah, you probably think so?
Sure.
Yeah. Do you think that game would be at home, if not on national television?
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Okay. Do you think that game would be at New Orleans?
Wait, what?
Oh, your first game? Oh, that's crazy.
Oh, that's crazy.
That's crazy.
Well, that's
Yeah, that is at New Orleans. What podcast was that? Give that credit.
Numbers on the board pod.
Numbers on the board pod. I don't have the foggiest idea who the hell that is.
Kenny Beecham.
Who the hell is that? Kenny Beecham. But that was good stuff right there because it's 100% accurate. I don't care if you think I'm a cheerleading or if I'm trying to blow sunshine up everybody's rear end around here. It's true. Look what the dude has accomplished. The way that he orchestrates in basketball for the Pacers is the way that everybody talks about that they want to see, they want to watch, they want to view. The NBA doesn't agree. Now, the NBA is also the investigation of Steve Ballmer, by the way. I don't know if you guys have heard that news today. The NBA did their own self-investigation. There's nothing, I'm sure, more thorough than the NBA doing a self-investigation. Yeah, when's the last time any of us looked in the mirror and pointed out absolutely every flaw? Yeah, around never. So you think the NBA is going to do it? I'm going to be interested to see because Pablo Torre started all this investigation, and what the storyline is, Steve Ballmer, who is the owner of the Clippers, has been alleged, most notably by Pablo Torre, for funneling money secretly through other companies to circumvent the salary cap to Kawhi Leonard. And it was Pablo Torre who was out front with that. He had that report. And then the NBA went into self-investigation mode, and evidently Caleb found absolutely nothing.
Well,
according to them.
Yep, and ESPN released an article today that said the NBA has found they're hearing that the NBA has found no evidence. And so then the NBA communications, NBA PR, Chiefs communications officer Mike Bass, he said in a statement today, ESPN's article regarding the LA Clippers investigation, for which the NBA declined to cooperate, contains numerous and significant inaccuracies. The results in this matter will be made clear once the investigation is concluded.
I love it. And
so we'll see.
You know, you better come correct on this if you're the NBA. You better not try to sidestep this because you want to cover your own ass.
Because what floodgates does this open, John? I mean, this could be, like, if you're allowed to do this.
You're questioned anyway. And with this, you'd be questioned about everything until the end of stinking time.
Mm-hmm. So you got to be, and that's what I think people are kind of like, oh, why does Pablo Torre keep reporting on this, like, the stories? Like, if you allow this, if you're going to allow them to circumvent the salary cap, then why can't anyone else do it?
It is.
So you have to come correct on this, like you said.
You do. Yeah, you better hope that your self-investigation wasn't led by Bernard P. Fife, because then you would have some issues right here. Oh, we didn't think about looking there. I know that I'm skeptical, and really, I don't care. I don't care if Kawhi Leonard goes to Toronto, stays with the Clippers, or does whatever the hell Kawhi Leonard does. But it seems like you better have the bases covered if you're the NBA. Not like I guess we have to tell them that. Seems like we have to tell the WNBA that all the time. But Pacers signed guard Braden Smith, the former Boilermaker, Westfield Shamrock, two-way contract that was made official a little bit earlier today as well. And Live Golf is in Westfield. Not at Chatham Tap, but at Chatham Hills, right? Those are two different things, Chatham Tap and Chatham Hills. So they confirmed that the league's 2026 season finale will celebrate an Indianapolis champion. The 2026 season individual champion and top three finishers and the 2026 team champion at the Live Golf Indy 2026 Championships. So there's been, is this the final one this season?
I'm seeing that there was, and this news just dropped like 30 minutes ago. From what I understand, there were supposed to be more events after this. So it looks like this is going to be the last one. Obviously, there's been a lot of.
Is it like the last one forever?
That I don't know, but the 2026 season, yes.
So there were supposed to be more events this season, but they're just going to call it a day.
There was supposed to be one in Michigan at the end of the month.
And then they're trying to make this like a big day and put more money in here, and they're going to make this a big deal. I don't think there's not been one advertisement for that golf tournament on this station. Has there anywhere?
No.
Weird.
So, I mean, I think that shows that it's kind of struggling a little bit, though. So, and there's been a lot of talk about that as well.
Yeah, I would guess. Yeah, you got a lot of people that have decided to bail out of it.
Mm-hmm.
But the final Live, I think they have it. They have a musical act too. What's this guy's name? Rhett somebody?
Thomas Rhett.
Thomas Rhett. Rhett somebody.
Rhett
I'm right on top of it. Rhett somebody is the guy's name. Thomas Rhett, in fact, is the dude's name. There you go. Yeah, I like to counter the dude, and I can't remember his name, but it's not lost on me that that's unusual, or in this case, not unusual. But if you remember about a month ago, there was, I think, a Star column that was talking about IU Bloomington needed to have IU Indy as its flagship or something. The Daily Student of Indiana has responded to that, I guess. That's pretty interesting, too. IU ranked 6th in the AP poll. Now, how long are we going to continue with the whining about scheduling stuff? This going to continue? I honestly, I've not even gotten involved. You got Notre Dame, and you got Notre Dame people crying about IU sidestepping and the rest of the world crying about sidestepping. My advice is to the Notre Dame folks out there and anybody else that's crying, go out and win yourself a championship. And I'm not saying that the IU now is the end-all, be-all football programs, but they just won the national title. And as I mentioned before, regardless of the circumstances, regardless of how it was done, whether you want to break down the scheduling or you want to talk about the NIL era, the era of transfer portal, everybody is playing now along those same rules, then go out there and get yourself a little something. Otherwise, shut up. Seriously, shut up. I even saw Dick Vitale get it. Oh, IU is really doing, no, they're not. They're the defending national champions in football. I guess, is it okay to cry all the time, I guess? When did it become okay to cry and point the finger at things being, getting cheated out of certain situations? When did that become okay? Does anybody ever take ownership of anything? Yeah, it was me. Yeah, you know what? We didn't get it done. And now it's like crying and whining about something and not taking ownership of anything. It's weird. What a weird world. The one thing I haven't encountered in a while is I feel a little bit under the weather, in case you can't tell today, is this may take me to a little bit of a dark place a little bit later on. I've not been sick in forever. And I will tell you this, I have not been ill in the summer in, I cannot tell you how long. This is incredibly unusual. Sick in the summertime. What? Who gets sick in the summer? We played in the gym yesterday that was 100 degrees, probably 125% humidity. How did I not sweat? And I did sweat a ton, every last ounce of virus out of my body. I'm no doctor here, but holy crap. This must be like the king ding dong right here of virus. Seriously. How did I not sweat that thing out? I can do that in the wintertime. when it's freezing and I'll sweat the how did I not? There cannot be anything actively working against my bod on the interior here. It's complete bullcrap.
Wasn't it like 1,300 calories he counted or something that we sweat
I believe our friend Kurt, who wears I can't wear a watch playing basketball, but he was wearing the watch, 1,300, and he sat out a couple of games.
Yeah.
I was working in a tremendous deficit. Now, I did get beard yesterday. This is not a hangover. This is an illness, a virus. How did that thing survive?
I don't know.
That's what I want to know.
Maybe we need to get a doctor on here.
I need a doctor. How would it survive? I'm going to sweat that thing out immediately. The passing over the weekend that was announced, 83-year-old Tommy John. Tommy John of Terre Haute, Indiana. Tommy John most notably should be, and I would agree when talking to Jake a little bit earlier today in the crossover, brought to you by Love Heating and Air, should be in the Hall of Fame. What's amazing about Tommy John, he came on the show about 5 years ago and was spectacular. And that was set up by Ted Bishop. Ted Bishop, of course, who runs Legends down in Franklin, who used to also run the Phil Harris down in Linton while doing some work for the Linton Daily Citizen. He was a sports writer there. And if you guys remember the Phil Harris golf tournament, it was a who's who of Phil Harris friends that were actors and comedians from the 50s and the 60s and the 70s, going all the way back. You know, if you're talking about, Forrest Tucker, for example, F Troop, and Ken Berry, who spent time in the colorized versions of Andy Griffith's show. But that was a Phil Harris, and Ted was a part of that. Ted was also a local sports writer and had the opportunity, I'm assuming because Tommy John participated in this event. Bob Knight, for example, would participate in this event. A variety of IU people would do that too in Linton, Indiana, in Greene County. But the story of Tommy John is incredible, and hopefully you saw the short biography that was given upon the announcement of his passing over the weekend that you saw courtesy of the Major League Baseball Network. Just incredible. 74, Dr. Frank Jobe did the first Tommy John surgery because he did it on the left arm of Tommy John. And now we know that by name, and you hear it by name, certainly, if not a weekly basis, every other week. The Tommy John surgery. Tommy John was not only a tremendous multi-era baseball player, started in the 60s. I think he first got up with the White Sox. I don't know if I'm going to have this accurately or not. Ended up going, the Indians, the White Sox, the Dodgers, the Yankees. I know he spent some time at the very end of his career with the Oakland A's. But Major League Baseball All-Star and an incredible athlete. Terre Haute, Gertzmeyer High School, 1961. He was a basketball player, scored 47 points for Gertzmeyer in 1961 in Bedford, Indiana at the Old Quarry. 47 points in 1961. In fact, at that game, he was being recruited by Adolph Rupp at Kentucky, but decided to go as a professional baseball player. But there's nobody around here that knows more about the late, great Tommy John than our good friend Ted Bishop of the Legends in Franklin. He's going to join us. We're going to talk about that coming up in the 4 o'clock hour. Just some amazing stuff across the board. Ted Bishop's going to join us from Franklin, the Legends, coming up at the top of the 4 o'clock hour. And Stephen Holder of ESPN, the latest on the Colts, couple of days off, back at it. And they have those combo practices with the Falcons coming up. I'll see you up there on Thursday. And DeForest Buckner joins us on Thursday. It is Stephen Holder going to join us coming up at the 5 o'clock hour. Now, originally, Rick Venturi was going to join today. We pushed Rick back until tomorrow, provided I can be here tomorrow. But Rick Venturi is on the schedule along with Charles Arbuckle and Greg Rakestraw for tomorrow's show. And I will say this, I've been in contact with IU. I think we got some football representation on the inbound, too.
Oh, boy.
My man Greg's down there working. Appreciate it, brother. We'll let you guys know about that and more coming up. All right, 239-1070 if you guys want to chime in. You can hit us up, too, on the text line, 317-239-1070. It is a Monday. We can go back to a lot of stuff we talked about already, get into some new stuff as well. A lot of the NFL news that's out there, too. As we mosey on through training camps in the month of August, and we think about a lot of folks here in and around Indianapolis and the state of Indiana that have been incredibly compromised with the heavy rainfall and flooding, and ways in which you can help. That announcement coming up a little bit later on, too. Stephen Holder, Ted Bishop, you, 239-1070. Don't go anywhere. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Here's a weather update courtesy of Fox 59.
Today's forecast from the Fox 59 Weather Authority.
Partly cloudy with a few patches of fog developing overnight tonight as temperatures cool into the low 60s. Most of our Tuesday will be spent under mostly sunny skies. Temperatures will still be below average, only rising into the low 80s. I'm Fox 59 meteorologist Kendall Wilson for The Fan.
Hey, John here for Andy Moore Buick GMC, 131st State Road 37. That is in Fishers. His name is Eric Wilson, ready to deal with you on the hottest automaker going on right now. That is Buick and the Enclave in a variety of styles, something that will suit your family and your family's budget. The Buick Enclave, brand new, the inventory, the service after the sale, and the coupons called the incentives to buy. You have opportunities to save big and get in a brand new Buick Enclave today. Just talk to my good friend Eric Wilson. Andy Moore, Buick GMC, 131st, State Road 37 in Fishers. Oh, so true. Love-HVAC.com. That's Love Heating and Air, Ohio dealer today. John and Chris Love at 317-353-2141. We have literally been all over the map. I'm curious about how your cooling unit is working right now. Get it checked. Find out. If you feel as if it's not being or working as efficiently as it should, what's going to happen is you're going to be uncomfortable in your home, and then it's going to cost you money, extra money, to be uncomfortable in your home. So do something about it. Do something about it right now, and contact John and Chris Love, or Kendra will answer the phone right now. 317-353-2141. That's Love Heating and Air, Ohio dealer, and get on the books with Ron or one of their incredible texts today to find out just how your system is working. And if you need a repair, mention my name. They're going to give you $144 off the service fee. That's Love Heating and Air, Ohio dealer, online, love-hvac.com.
The Ride with JMV.
I tell you, Wally, I'll be the only character in Mayfield High with an FM radio in his car.
Boy, FM, that's really neat.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Hi, welcome back. Yeah, Tony Katz and I this morning talking Colts. I just saw Carl Showbiz put that bad boy up there. You know, it's interesting, too. I brought up the passing at the age of 83 of the legendary Tommy John. Mark Boyle, the voice of the Pacers, sent this out talking about, because Tommy John was at Gertzmeyer, but played at Gertzmeyer and Terre Haute after Slick Leonard was there. And Mark had sent me this. Slick once told me that when he played high school basketball at Terre Haute, very young Tommy John was the team mascot. That is true. Tommy John, because somebody had just asked me on the text line if Slick Leonard and Tommy John played on the same high school team in Terre Haute. And they did not. Tommy was younger than Slick. And as Mark Boyle had said to me a little bit earlier on X, Tommy John was younger and was the mascot. But Tommy John was an exceptional basketball player. And as I mentioned, and this was courtesy of my good friend John Callahan down in Bloomington, who grew up in Bedford. In 1961, Tommy John put up 47 against Bedford High School, losing to Bedford, but also being recruited at the time by Kentucky and Adolph Rupp. And Tommy John obviously decided to play professional baseball. And then everything for everybody changed in 1974 with the invention and the pioneering with Dr. Frank Jobe and Tommy John surgery. Fairly unbelievable is what it is. The late, great Tommy John, and you guys were asking when he was on the show. He was on the show, I want to say 5 years ago. I also believe, if you remember, it was that time when there was no sports going on and we're in COVID. I think it was in the spring of 2020. And he was on the show. Just exceptional stuff back then. And we were sad to see Tommy John pass away, that was announced at the age of 83 over the weekend. JMV, how much of the Colts not signing a wide receiver is because ownership is cheap? I would not like to think in that fashion. I would like to think that it's more of just the thought process of those that are putting together the team. I would also like to think that maybe if you're, for example, everybody's focus has been on Keenan Allen. And who knows? I saw over the weekend where they brought in, what's the guy's name? Equanimus St. Brown?
Yeah, it's Amon-Ra's brother.
Yes,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
the one that's not that good. No, the St. Brown that's not that good. Josh Reynolds, I think, was another one. If I remember him correctly, once upon a time, he put up his best numbers. Was it Tampa with the Buccaneers for Reynolds?
I think it was L.A. Rams.
Was it L.A. with the Rams?
And then he also had a stint in Detroit.
All right. So they brought in 3 wide receivers. And who knows? They may not be thinking about like the rest of the world is thinking about with Keenan Allen. But Keenan Allen may be saying, I've been doing this for a long time. I don't need to prove myself and jack around with the early to middle stages of training camp. Now, I know that's what and there's also, I know, financial, and I don't know why finances would even play a role right here, but there are financial situations that you can sidestep to the longer that you wait in this. It would just, to me, regardless of your thought, you need one anyway. Tony Katz brought up to me this morning, well, are they going to keep an extra tight end? Is that extra tight end going to be Will Mallory? That to me doesn't matter. The wide receiver position is beyond premium. And you look at it right now, nothing against those dudes, but is there a worse wide receiving group? Especially with Pierce in the situation in which he's in. It doesn't sound like all of a sudden he's going to hop back up and be good to go. Even for week number 1. Is there a wide receiving group in the NFL that we would consider just by eyeballing right now worse than the one that the Colts have? Anybody? I'm not trying to be a jackass about it, but the truth is there? You have to find somebody else, and you have to find somebody else that is significant. They're certainly more significant than what you have. I know they see and they know, but I also know this, and this is not me trying to be, again, a jackass, but how many times in the past have we or you as a fan been accurate and it not worked out for the organization? They have long since lost the trust of, well, we're around this all the time. We're much smarter than you guys. Yeah, sometimes you haven't been. It's just, you ask anybody, and this is what they need. And I would like to say it seems obvious, but it more than just seems obvious. It is obvious. You have to. You have to.
I was at practice on Saturday, John. I went up to Graham Park and Park, excuse me.
Right.
And I went up there, and there was a play in the corner of the end zone. Daniel threw it to Josh Downs. Josh Downs I can't remember who the corner was that he went up with, but like a jump ball in the corner of the end zone, and they kind of got physical. I think it was supposed to just kind of be a light practice there on Saturday, and the corner landed on Josh Downs' ankle, and he was limping off. And in that moment, I'm thinking to myself, like, well, Alec Pierce isn't practicing. Josh Downs is it? So it just takes you to, like, okay, if we get to September and October when these games start mattering and plays like that are happening 10 times a Sunday.
Yes.
What is going to happen here?
To a team that historically and notoriously is consistently compromised due to injury. Yeah, that's not lost on anybody right now. And especially financially, it would seem to me that you would be knowing what you know. And there are have-tos across the board this year. I mean, the lay of the land has been presented. There are have-tos, levels in which you must reach this season. Why you would not go all in. I heard before Kevin and James came on this morning, I heard whatever ESPN morning show programming that is talk about how, hey, the Colts are all in. Really, in what capacity? Only because Carly Ursay-Gordon has said that. But does it appear to you as if they are? Does it appear to you with the work that they have done in the offseason that they are? You had to have a quarterback, so you got to bring back Daniel Jones because you don't believe in any of the other two at that level. Well, you brought back your best wide receiver. Now you let your other wide receiver, go. You had to give them up to Pittsburgh. And, obviously we'll see because a lot of people suggest Michael Pittman Jr. didn't produce at the level in which he was going to be paid. So that was something you had to compromise. But as I've always said, at the very least, he was somebody you go, all right, Michael Pittman Jr., we have to account for that guy. Who are you accounting for here? You look around the NFL, is there a team that has a worse and it's just eyeballing it, a worse by the eyeball test wide receiving situation than the Colts right now? And then, I saw the video that James put out from Shane Steichen talking about Alec Pierce. Alec Pierce going to be good to go for week number 1. You count on that? Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's all in, as that morning show proclaimed. All in, they're all in. Well, you're all in because that's what your owner says. But it's not like the actions have dictated, this is a have to. Quick one, we'll come back. If you're on hold, I'll get to you. Top of the hour, Ted Bishop's going to join us. I mentioned tomorrow Rick Venturi and Charles Arbuckle on the show, along with Greg Rakestraw. We have a preseason game 2 on Saturday. Details coming up for that. We're going to be live on Thursday at Colts Camp, Drop Light, Grand Park, Westfield. That's the joint gatherings with the Atlanta Falcons. DeForest Buckner joins us coming up on Thursday, too. Meantime, Ted Bishop, top of the hour. The life of one great left-handed pitcher, Tommy John, from Terre Haute, Indiana. Ted Bishop about that, 4 o'clock hour. Stephen Holder, more on the Colts and a lot of the things I'm talking about right now, 5 o'clock hour. This is 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. GLP-1 weight loss injections right here in Indy. That is Premier Weight Loss. I've got a milestone meeting, I think. The milestone meeting is a little over 2 years in and down 80 and feeling great, not sounding great and being a little bit under the weather right now. But, weight-wise, down 80. Body fat percentage from 35 to 11. No more visceral fats. Blood pressure medication, gonzo. No more. I was on it beforehand. Remember, we all laughed about it. Me and blood pressure medication. Yeah, not anymore. I am in the best shape of my life, and I thank Thomas and Lauren and Samantha at Premier Weight Loss. And if that's how you're thinking, if that's what you would like to do, let's get you there. They have 2 Indy area locations. Northside, 317-643-4444 and 317-567-9100. That is in Fishers. You can also do it virtually. Great deals to get started out here as we enter the middle of August. And to get started for the remainder of the summer and into the fall and get yourself ready for the wintertime and feel good, feel better, be more healthy while you do it. It's Premier Weight Loss. 2 Indy area locations. Get started today. Make sure you tell them that I sent you. That's PWLindy.com.
The Ride with JMV.
It's a beautiful day for baseball at Wrigley Field in Chicago as the Chicago Cubs face the troublesome Cincinnati Reds.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
The troubled Reds. By the way, drop line at Grant Park for the Colts and Falcons on Thursday. Taylor's and Ingalls on Friday. Tavern Tour stop, I believe, there. State Fair on Wednesday. Make that accurate for you. 239-1070. Let's get to Lamb in San Diego, California. Lamb, hello. How are you?
I'm good, JMV. How are you doing?
Go ahead, pal.
Hey, I got a question. Do you think Daniel Jones should play in the preseason game? I think he should play. I think he needs some reps.
I don't think we're going to see him until week number 1, Lamb. I'm wondering about all this as much as you are too, pal.
Yeah, I have a bad feeling. Not just Daniel Jones, but the whole starting. We have a lot to prove, and this is a big year. And I'm one of the optimistic fans, and I don't know. It might be malpractice a little bit for him to just wait.
Yeah, listen, there are two things. You're not going to see him, at least to me, until week 1 against the Ravens. And then I think you've got to cross your fingers and hope you see Alec Pierce in week number 1. I mean, all of a sudden, that got a lot more cloudy in the past 24 or so hours. And it furthers the question why, we're sitting here and not addressing a little bit more feverishly that wide receiving situation. Even if you plan on keeping an extra tight end, it's more than noticeable that you need it right now regardless.
100% right. Yeah. We need Keenan Allen out there. We need a viable option. And then one last thing before I go. Ever since I started listening to your show, the Colts never won a game because I started listening week 12, right before week 12 versus the Chiefs. So I don't know if I'm the curse of this.
No, it sure as hell is me, brother. Let me tell you. Lamb, man, I think – I had that conversation with Blake Groupie, if you go the week before last, and I said, hey, the last time I had a kicking conversation was Matt Gay, and we all saw how that went around here. And then you watch Groupie miss a couple of times after he talked to me. So, yeah, I think I'm the bad luck charm here. It's me.
I love your show, JMV. Appreciate it, man.
You got it, Lamb. Lamb's in San Diego. Mike is in Brooklyn coming up on the other side. Mike, sit tight. We'll get to that. Ted Bishop about the life of Tommy John. Stephen Holder, more about this Colts situation in the 5 o'clock hour with 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
The Ride with JMV.
Drivers, start your engines.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
I am not feeling great. Run DMC would say that I'm illin'. Turn it up here. Jason Allen Hammer of Hammer and Nigel just prescribed me something during the break where I may make the turn for the better right here. Can you tell my voice is a little bit deeper right now?
There's a little.
Wait, I left and my voice was a little lightweight. Now I'm back. Hey, how you doing?
We might be back here.
Hey, I'm telling you that. Yeah, that was a hell of a prescription. Shout out to Jason Allen Hammer. Stephen Holden, the 5 o'clock hour of ESPN. Now, we got Colts stuff on the inbound, too, and Ted Bishop coming up in a second. I've got plenty of room for your calls. I feel like doing calls all day, too, because I am Ellen. Mike is in Brooklyn, New York at 239-1070. Mike, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, JMV. I just want to send out my heartfelt best wishes to everybody, in Indiana. The flood imagery that I've seen is, pretty scary stuff.
It is bad news here, brother. It really is. And hey, we've got help, and that's the best part about living around here, growing up, and this being woven into the fabric of who we are in the state of Indiana. It is people helping people, pal.
Yep, that's great. That's great. And also, I want to send my best wishes to you because I dealt with a summer cold like a month and a half ago.
What kind of wuss? Hey, honestly, Mike, what kind of wussy gets sick in the summertime? What kind of wussy? And one yesterday, I ran off about 1,400 calories. I was sweating and how in the world? I must have the god of all virus in my body or something right now. I don't know what the hell's happening. How would I not shake loose of that?
No, I know the feeling. Believe me, I hadn't had a summer cold in a long time, and it was like 100 degrees out. I was like, I can't be sick. And
yes,
the more and more, it's like I can't be sick.
Here I am. Yeah, but people are asking what was the prescription from Jason Hammer was. It wasn't. It was something that you would probably buy at your shoe tops if you go to the liquor store. It would be at your shoe. It would not be right there equal with your vision. It was something at the shoe tops. I'm a little feisty because of that now.
Listen, as long as it works, right?
Yes, you got that right.
Yeah, so I guess St. Brown and Reynolds and these other guys, Chase Claypool, they brought in, they're not moving the needle for anybody.
No, you need somebody that's been there and done that more than those guys have been there and done that. And you got to think about this, too. And Greg just sent me this and said, the same people talking about the Colts needing a wide receiver were the same ones were okay with Michael Pittman Jr., being shipped out of here. I've always said this, at the very least, he was a threat, and I know that he did not ring the bell to a lot of folks out there in terms of what they felt he should be doing production-wise, but he was a threat. He was a guy that you had to game plan for when he was on the other side offensively, and you're missing that, and they got dudes right now where you just simply don't have to do that.
Yep, and I said that at the time. You're going to miss Michael Pittman, and he wasn't worth the salary that he was due. But how nice with his salary now? They could have negotiated it down to like I think he's about $17-18 million. That would fit very nicely in with their salary cap, with the cap room that they have available to them.
Yeah.
And he was the guy he was one of the few tough guys. I mean, he was a tough guy. He did all the dirty work. He did the blocking and everything. That is, I've knew at the time, and I've still confirmed that they're going to miss this guy, and I cannot believe. So I've convinced myself that Keenan Allen has got to be on the inbound because there's no way that I could see Ballard not addressing the situation and going into this regular season with this.
And they must be comfortable with it, because this is really a half-ass effort to find a solution so far.
Yeah, like I said, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And also on my first impressions of the preseason game, it's only the first game, but the local kid Curry caught my attention in that game. Looks like a football player. The kid Betcher, the linebacker, caught my attention also. So seems like they're going to bring some kind of an attitude to the defense, which is much needed. And as far as the injury concerns, it's definitely a problem.
I can tell you this from Curry, and I said the same thing about Mendoza for the Raiders. Those two guys look the exact same as they did when they were a high level, elite level, or dominating the opposition in college. And for a variety of reasons, that's really all you can ask. There was nothing was overwhelming, but they were dominant just like they were in college. I'm not suggesting they would be against, frontline starters in the NFL, but that's the way I look at it. They were doing exactly at the highest of levels what they did in college, both of them, in different ways, and that's all you can ask.
Yep, Jeff, I think the defense is going to come down to us, and you brought it up a while ago. Latu is the key. He's got to make the big step into being the big time pass rusher that we need. So anyway, JMV, feel better, and I'll be listening.
Thank you, buddy. Shout out to Dr. Hammer, who had the prescription for me during that top of the hour break. And normally we have stuff to get to as well during the breaks. I did not have anything to get to. He goes, hey, got something for you here. You'll feel a lot better. Stephen Holder's going to join us coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. Kansas and Deep Purple tickets. That is a week from tonight. That's at Everwise, correct?
Correct.
Kansas and Deep Purple tickets I'm going to give to you coming up a little bit later on. And road shows Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday coming up. Meantime, on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline, he is the former PGA of America Prez, and he is presently and still the awesome pro down at the Legends in Franklin. He is a friend of the show. He is Ted Bishop, who joins us now. Hello, Ted. How are you, pal?
Hey, I'm good, JMV.
I want to ask you, is this the final hurrah for Live Golf this weekend here?
I think it very well could be. It'll be interesting. Supposedly they've got some kind of source of funding, but we'll see.
I kind of wondered if this is going to be, because they put a lot more money into this event, and it's got people wondering if maybe this is going to be it after this particular Westfield event this weekend, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I'm even kind of surprised that this event's taking place.
Really? Did you have questions leading up to it, whether or not it was going to happen?
I did. I would, if you would have asked me a month ago, I would have said it's probably not going to happen.
What are the biggest issues with this, from what you see?
Well, I think that there has not been really a lot of fan interest relative to the amount of money that's involved in the purses. I think the formats have been, a real issue. I don't know. For me personally, I haven't seen one shot of Live Golf. And
I
haven't either. To watch it.
I don't even know where to find it, Ted, to be honest with you. I don't know where to find it.
That's the problem.
And
you can't.
Yeah, and the other thing is, it seems like that they wanted to go all in on this like Happy Gilmore form of golf that didn't go off in any interest whatsoever.
No, and I think that really one of the fundamental problems you have, and this is true even with the PGA Tour right now, John, is that so many people would rather play golf than watch it on TV.
Yeah.
And that's the first time in a long time, and we've talked about that before, that's been the case, but people would rather be recreating than spectating.
You know what's weird about that is if there is any sport out there that can take advantage of the just incredible technology that we have seen implemented on all forms, especially football, would be that of golf, because they can bring that right into your living room, yet still it's such a long, time-consuming event, it's rough to get people to hang around for the required time.
It is, and I remember back when I was doing a lot of things with golf, there would be occasionally somebody would say they didn't watch on golf on TV because it was like watching somebody fish. And honestly, that's kind of what it does for me right now.
Well, what do you think golf needs, like in general? A little rejuvenation of sorts here. Is there anything you have in your mind?
Oh, I think they need star power. And in all due respect to Scheffler, he's a great player. He's the best player out there right now. But they need star power like they had with Tiger Woods, Arnold Palmer, Jack Nicklaus, so on and so forth. And I just I don't think that that's going to happen in our lifetime. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens going forward.
It is incredible to see whom is selected to be that star power, Ted. I'll give you a great example. So Friday, I'm at Pivot Bar and Balcony. I didn't have time, because this is after the show. I didn't have time to say this. I haven't said it yet. But this is before the Fever and the Wings played. And we were giving away with Hurst and Lamontes, the law firm here, we were giving away gas cards for those that came the furthest away. Ted, on the balcony alone, listening to this show, we had people that are there from New Jersey, Florida, Boston, and this is just all on the balcony next to us, Philadelphia, Chicago, and we had a dude and his wife, and the guy was a mountain climber / prosecutor in Fairbanks, Alaska, and he had come all the way here to see that. So the Fever reach, and I guess who the general public decide to be those that what you're talking about, those mainline folks, it is incredible. But clearly, Caitlin Clark and the Fever would be that by what I discovered on Friday. I knew that it was popular. I had no idea that people came. We had Twin Falls, Idaho. Had no idea people came from that far out to witness that. And that's kind of what you're talking about in the form of golf right here.
You know what? I'll tell you a funny story that you mentioned that for the August 6th game, Barry Hyde, who works for the Wasserman Agency in New York, he's Tom Watson's agent. He reached out to me to see if there was any way that I could get him 2 Fever tickets for that game. Now, here's a guy with Wasserman Sports who can get tickets for anything.
Right.
But he had a niece and a nephew that were going to be in Indianapolis, and I reached out to our good friend Susie Fisher and got him the tickets. But they came from New York City to see this Fever game because they wanted to see Caitlin Clark.
It's seriously, I've seen very few things like it. Now, honestly, Ted, I knew that it was that big, but I had no idea. Just those people for a random Friday game. I know you had Paige Beckers on the other side too, but it was absolutely incredible, the lengths in which these people came and drove in or flew in to get to that game. Absolutely incredible.
No doubt.
Hey, by the way, too, you mentioned Susie. We got to mention Don. Did you see over the weekend our living legend going into the Indiana Historical Society? I saw that the Historical Society gave him an award. He was all tuxedoed up and everything going back to Friday night.
I actually forgot all about that. I do remember when the announcement came out, and I told him, I said, you really reached a milestone of age when you're getting recognized by the Indiana Historical Society.
You know what, Ted? You know what really pisses? I tell him this all the time too. I said it really pisses me off because he looks like he hasn't aged a year. It's ridiculous, and he's all tuxedoed up here and looking great right now. And he's got Peyton Manning, Larry Bird, Tamika Catchings, Bill Polian. Among those that are a part of the living legend of Indiana by the Indiana Historical Society. That is one hell of an honor right there for Don.
Well, he is truly a living legend, and as you know, and everybody that knows him here at the Legends, he's known for being an extremely nice guy on top of being the voice.
Yeah. He also buys all the beer for me at our table on Friday nights, which is really nice. I appreciate that, too. It's Ted Bishop, who is down at Legends. The reason why I wanted to bring you on is, if I remember correctly, it was over COVID. There was no sports going on. And you put now the late Tommy John on with me. He was an incredible conversation. The first time he'd ever been on this show, and from Terre Haute, Indiana. I know that you were really close to him. He passed away over the weekend. What's Tommy John and his legend mean to you, Ted?
Well, I want to go back to the first time I met him, John, and it was in 1978. I was doing some moonlighting work for the Linton Daily Citizen on the side when I was running the golf course down there. And the legendary Tom Reck at the Terre Haute Tribune-Star got me set up to do an interview with Tommy John when the Dodgers were in Cincinnati the last week of the season before the playoffs started. And obviously the Dodgers were going to go to the postseason and go to the World Series. So I had never met Tommy John, but I went down there at the age of 24. And after the game was over with, went into the Dodger clubhouse. And Tommy was stark naked in a whirlpool drinking a glass of red wine. And the clubhouse guy took me over and did the introductions. And, I did this interview with him. And while we were doing the interview, Bill Russell, the Dodgers shortstop, came over, and John had evidently been in the whirlpool for a while. And he said, "Tommy, get your ass out of there." He said, it's my time. And Tommy looked up at him and he grinned and he said, "Russ," he said, "I'm going to finish talking to my friend Ted here, who he'd never met before, and I'm going to finish this glass of wine." And he said, "When that's done," he said, "it's all yours." And it was a few years later when he retired, he called me at the golf course in Linton, and he asked me if he could play in the Phil Harris tournament. And I said, "Are you kidding?" "Absolutely." And he said, "Well, there's one condition." He said, "I want to bring my dad," and he said, "I want to play with my dad." And I said, "Well, that's an easy ask, so you can definitely do that." So I don't know, for the next 8 or 9 years that I ran that tournament, he came to Linton and he played with his dad every year. And he was here for our grand opening at the Legends. Bob Lamey, the great announcer for the Colts, was a huge Yankees fan like I am, and he wanted spring training tickets one year, which are impossible to get at Legends Field. So I called Tommy. Tommy got Bob the spring season tickets. I mean, he was a great friend, and I thought the statement that the Yankees released last week, where he was quoted as saying that his dad had said something to him like, "When it's all said and done, you're just going to be Tommy John from Terre Haute, Indiana." And he never really lost sight of that. And I mean, he had a tremendous career. I mean, you know that as well as I do. Should be in the Hall of Fame without question.
Yeah, I completely agree. Ted Bishop with the life and knowing Tommy John, who passed away at the age of 83 this weekend. Ted's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. And just, beyond the pioneering of the Tommy John surgery alone, as a multi-decade player, he started in the 60s, I believe, with the Indians, to the White Sox, to the Dodgers, to the Yankees. But we're talking, 1, 2, 3, went to, 89 with the A's, when I think he called it quits right there. That is one hell of an incredible career.
Well, it was. I mean, I think, so you ask yourself, why is the guy not in the Hall of Fame? And, I saw an interesting interview yesterday where they ran it on the MLB network, and Tommy John said that when Jim Cott went in the Hall of Fame, Jim Cott called him to apologize. And Tommy said, what are you calling to apologize for? You should be happy. And he said, "I can't believe that I'm going in to the Hall of Fame before you do." And I think, the guy won 288 games. I think they always held the 231 losses that he had against him, but you have to consider he had a 3.34 lifetime ERA. And to put it into perspective, I mean, he pitched for some bad teams in his career. I mean, when he was with the White Sox, John, he was 82-80 in 8 years, but he had a 2.95 ERA. I mean, his numbers were unbelievable. 3-time 20-game winner, 4-time All-Star, like you said, a 26-year career. And, he started I think it was 385 games that he pitched after he had Tommy John surgery. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it is. Ted Bishop joins us. My friend John Callahan down in Bloomington sent me this note over the weekend, and I was unaware. I knew that he was a high-level athlete at Terre Haute Gertzmeyer back in the 60s, and he came obviously after the late Slick Leonard as well. I think he was a mascot, as Slick Leonard told Mark Boyle, mascot for Gertzmeyer whenever Slick was a player at Gertzmeyer. But Tommy John in 1961 scored 47 against Bedford High School and was being recruited by Adolph Rupp at Kentucky, but then ultimately chose to play as he did professional baseball. But he was every bit as good a basketball player back then.
Yeah, that's a fact. I mean, he's told me that story many times.
Yeah, it's and Adolph Rupp, and I think he told us that too when he was on here. The first time that you met him, was that when you were doing that interview of him for the Linton Daily Citizen? Was that the first time?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd never met him before that. That was it.
Yeah, it's it really is incredible. And then what he touched as far as baseball teams and the era in which he played. It's in continues. His name is one that will never ever go away, because in terms of baseball, you hear his name about every other week nowadays. You just really do. And people have careers now that they never would have. Now, obviously, Dr. Frank Jobe in 1974 had a lot to do with that as the guy that pioneered the procedure himself. But the guy that had the career thereafter is that of Tommy John.
Well, he is. And when he had that surgery, he told me this, that, Job, he was done pitching. I mean, his career was over with. And, really the surgery was kind of a last-ditch effort at the time. And Job told him that the odds of him returning to pitch were 100-1 against. And he's like, well, I got nothing to lose. I'm going to go ahead and do it. And obviously the rest was history. And it's one thing for a journeyman player to go through a surgery like that and then really streamline what happens in baseball for the rest of time. But again, getting back to the Hall of Fame situation, I mean, here's a guy that won 288 games. The only two guys that have won more games than Tommy John that are not in the Hall of Fame are Roger Clemens, for obvious reasons, and the name of the next guy escapes me because he was a guy that pitched in the early days of the game before there was even a mound. So, it's
you mentioned
be sad. He'll be in now.
You mentioned Jim Cott, 283, which is less. Bert Blyleven is in at 287. Robert Roberts is in at 286. Fergie Jenkins at 284. Mike Mussina, I think, right, is 270. More modern day, certainly right there. Jim Palmer's 268. Bob Feller, 266. So you've got guys in this, and we can go further down the list as well with those types. But, there are guys with less wins that are in right now, certainly, than Tommy John.
Well, I just think that the duration of his career, it's almost like the 26 years that he pitched worked against him in the minds of some people, as warped as that mentality might be. If you understand what I'm saying, he had 288 wins, but he pitched for 26 years.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously. He told me, John, he told me a story. Gave me a statistic, and I've tried to look it up today before this interview, about how many of his 700 starts he pitched into the 8th inning. It's unbelievable. I mean, it's
a completely different era of baseball, Ted, because you basically you went all the way. You did. It's nothing like it is today.
But incredible career, but really a great guy and a classic Hoosier for sure.
I brought this up a little bit earlier. Ted Bishop down in Franklin at the Legends. He is the golf pro and obviously used to be the pro over at the Phil Harris in Linton, Indiana. How many times did he be a part of the Phil Harris Classic over the summers that you were a part of it too?
I would say 8 or 9 times for sure.
Wow. That will go down as one of the greatest golf tournaments of all time. You realize that, right? Especially in the state of Indiana. I mean, the state of Indiana was there anything else in the state like then and now like it. It's incredible.
The only thing that was going on that was even remotely like it was the Mad Anthony's up in Fort Wayne. But as you know, because you grew up in that area, the thing that differentiated that tournament was we had 600 players in 2 days. We had 450 players shotgun starts. Every team had a celebrity. I mean, the baseball players, the football players we had, I mean, there were some big names. Obviously, entertainers, astronauts. I mean, it was a phenomenal weekend.
Yeah. How long did what year? I guess I should ask this. What year did Phil Harris get that started there?
We started it in 1979.
Wow.
And Phil, he came back until the year that he passed away, which seems to me was about 1993 or 94.
Yeah, and just I've mentioned this a little bit earlier. To the younger audience, they may not get it, but it was a who's who of stage and screen going back to the 50s and the 60s. It was.
Yeah. No, it was. Yeah. Well, everybody, even the younger generation today, they remember the movie Jungle Book. And, Phil Harris, he had a gold record for the song Bare Necessities.
Yeah. That's incredible. Think about that. And people probably don't now. That's why we're educating them on this. But I brought that up a little bit earlier with Tommy John in mind because, everybody would obviously remember that of Bob Knight. And I know Bob Knight was a part of that for a number of years as well,
right.
The late, great Indiana coach. But, wow, it was something back then. It really was.
Yep. It was.
All right, how are things going down in Franklin for you, too? You guys staying dry?
You know what? We're very fortunate compared to what a lot of people are dealing with. But, we're hanging in there and looking forward to some good weather this week and hopefully get things going again.
That is Ted Bishop down in Franklin. And if you want to play some golf, go down there to just an incredible course and have a great time. And tell Ted that we sing you legends down in Franklin. Also, the host back in April of what was a incredible fan golf outing. Man, I can't thank you enough for everything you do, and thanks for looking back at somebody you knew very well in Tommy John. I thought when I was thinking over the weekend, obviously you hooked me up with Tommy John about 5 years ago, and I thought maybe I should get you on to talk up just exactly what people may not know about him as an athlete, because it was more than just the Tommy John surgery itself.
Well, it was, and it's been interesting to listen to a lot of interviews. I just watched one that Bucky Dent did a few minutes ago, and just the respect and admiration that all of his teammates had for him, particularly with the Yankees, but obviously the Dodgers and any of the teams that he played for. Man. I mean, he really was a great guy.
Ted, I appreciate you, man. We'll be in touch again really soon. And if you see our good friend Don Fisher, before I do, congratulate him on that honor this past weekend. That was something.
Oh, I absolutely will.
All right. Thanks, Ted.
Thanks.
That's Ted Bishop of the Legends down in Franklin on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. I'm assuming we get Don back on coming up on Friday, right?
Yeah, we could definitely. We got the room for it, so I think we should. Definitely all throughout football season.
No, that's absolutely going to happen, yeah.
A given.
6th ranked IU in the AP poll.
Yeah.
Ohio State, Oregon, the top 2. What's Notre Dame? 4th? Isn't that off the top of my head, I believe?
Let's take a look here. I have it right here. Yes, Notre Dame is 4th. Georgia, just one spot ahead of them in 3rd.
Yeah, that's going to be it's going to be a great college football season.
I can't wait.
I cannot. There are a lot of things you can't believe about right now in college football, but talking about IU as the defending national champions. 6th ranked IU. Trying to think off the top of my head, those in the top 25 from the Big Ten, Ohio State, Oregon, IU, Michigan, Washington, USC, Iowa, Penn State. Is that 8?
That's all 8. Yeah,
all
8
8
teams.
All 8.
8 Big Ten teams in the top 25.
Yeah, all right. Quick break. We'll come back. Stephen Holder's going to join us coming up at the top of the hour. So, would the Colts really go in till the start of the season with an extra tight end being, I guess, Mallory, and okay with the wide receiver situation. And was there cold water poured on the opportunity that we believe Alec Pierce is going to be good to go for week number 1? All this you need to hear, and Stephen Holler is going to join us coming up at the top of the hour, ESPN. We'll talk Colts and more. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Let's get an update, courtesy right now, weather-wise, of Fox 59.
Today's forecast from the Fox 59 Weather Authority.
Partly cloudy with a few patches of fog developing overnight tonight as temperatures cool into the low 60s. Most of our Tuesday will be spent under mostly sunny skies. Temperatures will still be below average, only rising into the low 80s. I'm Fox 59 meteorologist Kendall Wilson for The Fan.
The Ride with JMV.
Let's go out and play golf and relax.
Okay. Be the ball. Sink the putt. Make the shot.
You know a lot about golf. 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Oh, that was so good with Ted Bishop right there. Podcast 107.5, thefan.com. Caleb's over there. I'm John right here. Wednesday, the Indiana State Fair, the Governor's Cup. I know Jake's going to be out there a little bit earlier than I, and then I'll be out there from 3 until 6 to look for you. And I saw so many of you out there for the Dust Bowl tournament in hoop. Even though it was raining, it did stop and it did dry out. So I also want to give a shout. My friend Rob from Behringer's was on one of the stages singing, I believe, what is the wagon wheel? Is it the wagon wheel song with Darius Rucker? He was doing that. I saw Rob out there from Behringer's. We'll be at Behringer's again coming up in the month of September on South Meridian. But I stopped and had a beer, Michelob Ultra, the superior light beer, by God. And watched Rob for a little bit. Good to see him. But no, the state fair and hopefully things weather-wise get back into gear really across the board. Weather-wise gets back into gear for absolutely everybody. I'll have some news for you regarding what we're going to do along with CBS 4 and Fox 59 and the American Red Cross to help those that have been seriously compromised because of the rain and the flood waters. It has been awful for so many, whether we're talking about East Central Indiana, Eastern Indiana, up around Muncie, around Newcastle, spreading out to Cambridge City. And my friend JY called me. They went out and distributed some food on Saturday afternoon to those in Cambridge City because of the high water. Now, that was during the JMV takeover when he called to tell me that. And then, obviously, downstream on the White River from Noblesville through Carmel, Hazeldale, that's incredible. Further on down through Indy and then down to Waverly, close to me. Get you the information you need on that coming up in just a bit, too. Stephen Holder at the top of the hour. Thursday, Colts camp at Droplight, Grand Park in Westfield. And DeForest Buckner, I believe, is going to be our guest coming up on Thursday. Taylor's Pub in Ingalls with Brent Holverson and Tony Wren. That is a tavern tour stop. I want to say the last time that I was at Taylor's Pub in Ingalls, this goes back probably 3 years. And if you remember, I get a frantic call from my mom at the start of the show because her woods were on fire. This was, I think, in early October. It was very hot. Early October. And there was a burn ban going on. And, of course, the jackasses from Greene County go, oh, well, that's not me. And this dude started burning something and set the woods. My mom lives on 40 acres down in Greene County and set the woods on fire.
This happened.
Way to go, dumbass.
You pulled up and
oh, yeah, my mom was like screaming and yelling, my woods are on fire.
Wait, so what happened
let's go ahead and do the show. No, I had to do the show and the woods were on fire.
Oh, my gosh.
The volunteer, and it's not been the first time before. I remember back when I was growing up because we have 40 acres that butts right up against Crane, the naval base down in southern Indiana. So back when I was 15 years of age, there's a dude that owned some property behind us that was back there in a cabin, and I think that he was taking a toke or two, and he passed out and then burned up the woods, and then it got over on Crane, and they all freaked out. Now, he also killed himself in the process, which stunk. So we found it was bad. It was a completely different time. and we had motorcycles.
Yeah.
So they said, we can't get back there with vehicles. So they were using our motorcycles. They handed out to us kids of the town these 80-pound, 75, 80-pound tanks of water that we had to carry around on our back. And they were like they're like before the modern day super soakers. They were there to fight fires. So we had a tank of water on our back fighting the fire. We were firemen back then. It was incredible. 15 years of age.
Wow. I feel like, John, next summer when we're fishing for content.
That's going to be it right there?
Well, it's a lot of these stories. We just need to do a show from like somewhere in Greene County and just try to bring in all the elements, all the people that make Greene County a one-of-a-kind place.
I have tried to do that. I've tried to do before. I've tried to have a tavern tour stop in all right, check that in Odin, because we were also thinking about doing something with the Odin meat locker.
Mm-hmm.
And our friends, the Swartzen Troopers, led by Andrew and Isaac and Luke and Norm, but they're opening up a entirely new setup. They had to grow, and they've been the same since 1945. And now with I-69, and it's so easy to get to Odin, Indiana, to get the best meat out there. And the marinated turkey, the Southwestern turkey marinade, you're not going to find anyplace else. They became so popular that they had to grow. And so they have, I think they either have or they're just close to opening. And we had talked about doing a live show down there.
I think we need to find a way.
So here's the other thing that you may not know. The defending national champions, the Indiana Hoosier football team, love the Odin locker. And here's one of the reasons why, because they're high protein in diet.
Yeah.
Carter Smith, their left tackle, was turned on to the Odin meat locker for the jerky because they all snack on various beef jerkies. So a lot of the team has been down there, including Josh Hoover, the new quarterback, just not going down there to make appearances, but have been down there to take advantage of what the Odin meat locker has to offer. And Carter Smith, the left tackle, started it all. So most of the team, I think, has been down there at some point to bring back to Bloomington some meat from the Odin locker. That is very true story.
There you go.
Right there. But kind of cool when you think about it. JMV, are you going to talk the Cards just beating your Reds this afternoon? Gritty wants an update. Yeah, the Reds have been out of sight, out of mind for me for a long time. So, yeah, probably not. Double dip going on today with the Cardinals and the Reds. The Reds are a baseball disgrace. They just are. Plus 900 to go back-to-back, according to DraftKings, IU's football program. Plus 900 back-to-back. They start the season, according to the AP, ranked 6th. Outside the top 5 of the nation, Notre Dame's ranked 4th. Ohio State, Oregon, Georgia, the top 3 to start the college football season. So outside the top 5 of the Hoosiers. Number 6 in the AP preseason poll. The highest preseason ranking, by the way, in program history for IU. Number 6. All right, quick break. We'll come back. I mentioned a busy week. State Fair coming up on Wednesday. On the road at Colts Camp at Droplight Grand Park with the joint practices with the Falcons coming up on Thursday. And in Ingalls, everybody. Right off of I-69, we're in Ingalls at Taylor's Pub for a tavern tour stop. That is coming up on Friday. Also, Labor Day weekend. The Labor Day weekend bender is once again in effect. That is a Friday with this show at Mystic Waters Campground in Pendleton. And then the All Request Saturday Night JMV Takeover live from Mystic Waters on B105.7 on that Saturday. So the Labor Day weekend bender with Evan Williams is a go. Friday with this show leading into the Labor Day weekend, and then on Saturday night on B105.7. That is the Labor Day weekend bender. I would check in right now if you're thinking about spending the weekend in a cabin up at Pendleton and Mystic Waters. You may want to check on that because if they're not sold out, they're probably close to it. This is a spectacular weekend where we all get together and have one hellaciously awesome send-off to the summertime. Labor Day weekend bender, Evan Williams, Mystic Waters, Friday and Saturday with the Fan and B105.7 and the entire weekend at Mystic Waters Campground in Pendleton with 93.5 and 107.5 the Fan. Hey, John here, and summer heat can wear anybody out, but maybe you're feeling drained for something that is different than just that heat. 1 in 4 dudes out there from 35 to 50 have low testosterone and low levels of energy, sex drive, motivation, and mood. Low T drains your energy and motivation so you don't have that energy for things that you love to do, and you may even stop recognizing yourself. So get the answers that are necessary at the Low T Center. Book a free testosterone test. Get that consultation from a licensed provider who specializes in testosterone replacement therapy. Explore a range of peptides and even get a jump on that late summer bod with GLP-1s and medical weight loss protocols. Low T Center, the #1 name in TRT since 2009 for a reason. Don't spend another day wondering why you don't feel like yourself. Let's get proactive and do something about it today. FixMyLowT.com to schedule your free testosterone test. That's FixMyLowT.com today. What a great idea I have for you right here, and that is Kinetico water systems in your home. If you don't have Kinetico, simply put, you don't have the best water possible. My friend Joe can help you out right now. An absolutely free in-home water test. They're going to find out exactly what they can do for you, and then they will create a system specific for your water needs. And then and only then with Kinetico will you have the best water, the drinkability, the washability, washing your clothes, all that, the bathability. Don't forget about that too. All with the greatness that is Kinetico. And it starts with Joe and a free in-home water test today. Get signed up. Make sure you tell them I sent you. Get signed up for that free in-home water test today. That's Kinetico.com.
The Ride with JMV.
My vehicle's too big. Stop giggling, everybody. I'm talking about a vehicle. My vehicle is too big.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Oh, this is Wagon Wheel right here. Shout out to Rob who did that. Rob from the Behringer's Tavern. Great place on South Meridian. I saw him at the State Fair on Saturday. Wagon Wheel. I'm assuming Wagon Wheel is one of the more common covers for anybody out there singing right now, correct? I think that's one of the first songs somebody now puts together.
I would say so. I would say it's a karaoke
Yes.
classic too, you know?
Is it one of those where like everybody out there believes that they sing it and sound good singing it when in reality they don't?
It probably could file under that
I
category.
think that is, there are two songs that to me I would recognize as the best options and or arguments of what I just said. Pearl Jam's Alive and Wonderwall by Oasis. It seems like that you always hit the note and you sound just like Vedder or a Gallagher. But in reality, you don't, and it sounds terrible. But I think everybody out there believes that they sound exactly like the song sounds, with both of those in mind. Wonderwall by Oasis and Pearl Jam's Alive. KK Timpson, 20 points, 7 rebounds. I know everybody out there, for the most part, still has some sort of axe to grind with Stephanie White. But that was a money maneuver inserting her into the starting lineup. And by the way, too, going zone yesterday when things weren't going great helped out too. That's good, solid coaching. I know for some of you out there, and not all of you are in this category, but for some of you that are jackasses, you won't get it. But those are coaching measures taken that are differences. And credit is due, even if you don't want to, even if all you care about is something that is completely different than honestly what should matter. Those are measures and maneuvers that are taken by a coach that you can see work and work for the better. For example, without Timpson yesterday, they don't win that. Without going zone yesterday, they don't win that. Some of you out there will never give credit. Like, I see this stupid stuff about holding back the offense. Who in the world is holding back that offense? When they hold back the offense, they hold back themselves. It's incredible. So I know nobody wants to do it. I'll do it for you. Shout out to Stephanie White for that. Whenever there's something that I can give credit to the coach for doing, I'm going to give credit to it. Because so many times you take everything away. It is they win by virtue of what she's doing, not because of what she's doing. We'll give credit where credit is due. And in this case, it is. Stephen Holder on the other side. Speaking of credit where credit is due, you would think that at some point, I know they're testing out dudes, but nothing of significance. The Colts, the worst wide receiving core in the NFL right now. Have you looked this up? Is there anybody worse? I know that this is just us gauging our thoughts on it, but anybody worse in the NFL than what they're looking at right now, especially considering the situation with Alec Pierce?
I think I could throw out some, John, and you could definitely pose this to Steven on the other side.
We'll do that. Stephen Holder's going to join us coming up next. Colts conversation and more on the road later on this week. I shall explain, which means don't go anywhere. Back after this on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
The Ride with JMV.
There's a kid in my class that got a boner at PE in high school. He was wearing sweatpants. It's really embarrassing, so this song goes out to him.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Oh, you try to sound like Vetter, but you're not. Caleb's over there. I'm John right here. By the way, we need to bring up Caleb going to is it the Cincinnati Open? What is it called? The Masters?
It is called the Cincinnati Open. You had it right.
The Cincinnati Open. You saw play tennis yesterday. Back in the day, prior to the U.S. Open, you had lead-ups. And Indy was always in a matchup, a battle, if you will, for that top layer of talent with Cincinnati. Now Indy has disappeared.
Yeah. I will say this, John. I know this isn't a tennis show by any means, but it's pretty fun. It's my first time ever watching it.
And who'd you see yesterday in Cincinnati?
Coco Gauff,
Yeah.
and then the number one player in the world, Arena Sabalenka. So that was pretty cool.
And he also played hoop with us yesterday at Center Grove Central before you went to Cincinnati, and he went all stinky and sweaty and BO-ridden.
Hey, and I was thinking about that because you made fun of me right before I left. I was like, hey, we were outside all day, and it was hot, and it was stinky, and it was sweaty. Yeah, but it didn't matter because once I got there, it was the same thing. So.
Oh, yeah, everybody had BO just like you. You're all good. That'd be fun right there.
Yeah.
It would. There was a time, and I blank you not, and we can talk about this with Greg when he joins us tomorrow. Greg Rakestraw did radio play-by-play on the former 950 sports station with the late Bud Collins, who was one of the, if not the most noted tennis experts and analysts on the planet, and maybe of all time. It was Greg and Bud Collins doing tennis play-by-play on the radio, which I still, like, Greg could do anything play-by-play on the radio, but it was shocking. I got, what? He and Bud Collins doing it. It was incredible. The Thomas Rhett and Disco Lines concerts at Live Golf Indy, which is going to be hosted coming up this week in Westfield. The concerts have been canceled. Live Golf made that announcement, quote, due to unavoidable changes in the entertainment program. That doesn't sound great. So Thomas Rhett and Disco Lines were headlining the concert at Live this week. Caleb, canceled.
That's a bummer.
Canceled.
That is a bummer.
So we talked to Ted Bishop about this a little bit earlier. He was surprised that the tournament was going to go off. Kind of makes you wonder if it is. And certainly it looks like it's going to be the last tournament this season and maybe the last of all time. Is that what people are saying right now, too?
The rumor. But Ted did say that there's funding they're going to find, supposedly.
I need to find some funding, too.
Yeah.
Well, I think we all need to find funding. Can anybody find us funding? On the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. We'll be up there with him coming up on Thursday for the first time. A drop light at Grant Park. That is one of the joint get-togethers with the Atlanta Falcons coming up on Saturday at his preseason game 2 with the Falcons from ESPN. Stephen Holder joins us. Hello, Stephen. How are you?
Oh, there we go. Sorry, I was muted.
That is okay. I was yip-yapping a lot right there. So, yeah, you had to put me on. I got to mute this. I got to either come on or this guy's got to shut up or something's got to happen here.
No, all good. All good. I went to that Cincinnati Open last year for the first time, by the way, the tennis tournament. It was a good time. A friend of mine in Cincinnati had does the whole, like, I guess they call it a season ticket.
Yeah.
Big tennis fan. And so I went and spent a day. I did the day session and part of the night session. And I mean, if you like tennis, and I get it's a little bit of a niche sport, but if you like tennis, and even if you don't, but if you like tennis, you have to go because it's all the heavy hitters play. It's a big deal. So I did not know that prior to going, But I saw basically the top 3 or 4 players in the world, men and women.
And that's what Caleb did yesterday. And I, for one, would love it if there would be a resurgence in tennis interest as it was when I was growing up. I don't know if that's going to be in the cards. But when I was growing up, I mean, hell, we knew the top 20 men and women, and I'd scramble to give you like 5 in both groups right now.
It's really, I think it really boils down to a very simple explanation. Because I'm with you. I remember being home in the summer from school, and I'm watching all of Wimbledon. I'm watching the French Open, all that stuff. And it was a big deal to you. And I knew all the top players. And I think the simple explanation is just that, particularly on the men's side, you had a lot of American men, and they were good, the likes of Pete Sampras and guys like that. And I was an avid follower back then. I can't say that today. And, things change, but I do think that's part of it. That's a really big part of it, I think.
I would love to know this. If I were to just lob this question out there, what is the greatest, because this is all the Cincinnati Open and what used to be here in Indy was a precursor or lead-up tournaments in preparation for the U.S. Open in Queens, which is coming up at the end of this month in early September, I guess. But what is the greatest U.S. Open tennis memory all time for anybody? What would be the first thing? I would guess this. I would guess it would be in 1991 and Jimmy Connors and Aaron Crickstead.
Okay.
That would be my guess. And that I think that stands to reason as to why maybe a lot of people would suggest it's out of sight, out of mind, because we have to go back to 1991. I bet a lot of people, especially in my age demographic, would reference that as their fondest memory of all time of that tournament.
Right. I mean, well, that tells you all you need to know. I mean, that was like 3 generations ago, right?
Yeah.
I mean, not quite, but it was a long time ago, right? I mean, 1991, I was in like the 10th grade.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So what are we talking about, And so, I mean, there's like a whole generation of kids that have come along after you and me that never, it was never even in their thought process, because there was no one close to home for them to root for. And that kind of needs to change. I think I saw was it Ben Shelton out there last year?
Yeah.
And so like he had a big crowd cheering for him, and like that was a hot ticket, to get a seat for his match, but he's kind of like just on the outside of like the really elite players, so you need a home team guy, that's what I think it boils down to.
He has a link to Carmel too. Ben Shelton does. I think his mom, grew up in Carmel. Did she not? I believe Ben Shelton, the tennis player, did.
That's a good question.
Can you, Caleb, when you look that up,
I'm
I believe it. And that should be something you would think we'd be talking about a lot around here, but that just kind of shows you where tennis is in the grand scheme of things, I guess. And
She did grow up in
that's what I thought. I thought
Yeah.
that his mom was from Carmel originally.
Okay. She did.
Yeah.
I was telling. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Well, hopefully, maybe he can figure it out. We'll see.
So Stephen Holder of ESPN is with us. Speaking of figuring things out, is this a comfortable / confident place the Colts are in with their wide receiving group right now? I know they brought a trio in at some point in the past 48 hours or so, checked them out, and then send them on their way. Are they comfortable with the way this is going? Would they be comfortable in going with an extra tight end starting the season? And where are we with the thought of participation of Alec Pierce in week number 1? Just kind of a couple of questions right here regarding the wide receivers of the Colts to start the season.
So I think as to your first question, in terms of what is their comfort level with the wide receivers, are they comfortable with their current wide receivers? I would say they are more comfortable than they were maybe when camp started. Okay. And that's also true of me, just observing them. I see a scenario where, that trio of guys does have some playmaking ability. We're not talking about the first option, and that when the trio being, the likes of Ashton Dulin, Laquan Treadwell, Nick Westbrook-Akine. Collectively, you can get some plays from that trio, right? The problem is, I don't trust it on a play-to-play basis. I think over the course of 3 weeks of training camp, yes, they've all made some plays, but can they do it at the moment of truth? With a game on the line? Not that they're the first option in that situation, but I'm just saying, if they are called upon in that situation, do you count on those guys? Can you count on those guys, any of those guys, to make the play that you need? And I don't think that's a position I want to be in, ideally, right? So I guess in terms of feeling comfortable, as I said, more comfortable because they've all stepped up at different times in camp, but I don't know that that's the end all be all. I do think so. A couple other things. You mentioned personnel. Will they use the tight end more? I think yes, absolutely. You will probably see a little more of the 2 tight end sets. You may even see some 3 tight end sets, with 1 wide receiver and a running back. You might see them be more involved in the passing game. We will see. But the big question, though, is the one you mentioned last, and that is Alec Pierce. And where is he? Yesterday was 1 month out from opening day. So we are now 3 weeks and 6 days out today from opening day. That is a fair amount of time. But he's got to get back soon. I don't think you can drag this out another couple weeks and feel good about it. Like, if he's not going to be out there this week, I don't anticipate any of that. So I think you're talking about next week at the earliest. After this preseason game, they get back to practice, I believe, a week from today. I would love to see him out there on next Monday, but I certainly can't guarantee that.
Do you think he'll play in week number 1?
I don't have reason to say otherwise right now, but time is ticking. I think a month to go. A month is a long time. Okay, like there are a lot of injuries you can come back from in a month. Now, the difference here is that this is a long-term thing, so it's harder to gauge, right? I mean, if you sprain an ankle, they're going to tell you, 2 to 4 weeks or something, right? You can narrow it down a little bit because it's not as severe an injury. This is a surgery that required many months of recovery, so it's harder to pin down the recovery timeline. He is coming up on 5 months, and it was a 4 to 6 month recovery. If he takes 6 months, well, damn it, they're in trouble, okay? Because that takes you into week 1. If he can do 5.5 months, they can probably figure this out. But it really just boils down to how close he is. They say he's close. What does close mean? You know what I mean? When we're talking about a 6-month deal, what does close mean? Does close mean next week? Does it mean next month? That's the thing that's really hard to really determine right now.
It's Stephen Huller of ESPN and ESPN.com. Colts, of course, a couple of days off. Get back at it. The joint practices with the Falcons leading up to Saturday. And that matchup preseason game, too, with the Falcons at Lucas Oil Stadium. So I get the sense that they didn't like any of the guys at wide receiver they brought in so far. Is that true?
It would appear. I think, listen, they would have to not only be a better option than what they have, but also be equipped to quickly pick up the system and be comfortable in it and productive in it. And that's a lot to ask, for guys that are just kind of guys, you know what I mean? And so, excuse me, I didn't anticipate they would make a move there, but I think they've had a couple of guys get banged up, and they know, that they have to be ready to make a move if called upon, just for depth purposes. So that's what I think you're seeing there. You're also seeing maybe a reaction to the preseason and maybe guys who did or did not make enough plays in camp in this first preseason game. And so you got to consider your options even when it comes to the practice squad. So you just need to know what's out there. So I think that's what that was. And I would lastly just say, Keenan Allen, I haven't turned the page on that yet. So I would say keep that book open and to the side.
So
I don't. Yeah.
And with that in mind, obviously he's a guy that has done a lot, and we've seen that. He's got that on his resume. Is this coming down to a dude that doesn't need this this layer, this level of training camp? Is it something monetarily they're trying to sidestep until the start of the season? Are they unsure? Why would that not? Because to me, I view this category as something you're going to have to do. You need to do now. It's going to have to happen at that position sooner rather than later. Why has there not been any interest and or any sort of movement regarding Keenan Allen? Why would that make sense?
Well, I wouldn't say there's been no interest. They definitely have talked. That's for sure. Now, why hasn't it happened? Certainly, right? A fair question. I would say what you said earlier about there being a feeling that maybe he doesn't need a full training camp. I think that's probably accurate. I don't know how the Colts feel about it, but it does appear that Keenan Allen feels that way. I would think so. We'll see what happens. I think that is a position that just about everybody involved feels that way to some degree, right? That we can do this right before the season and it could still work. That doesn't mean they're going to do it. I don't know. All I'm saying is I think his absence in training camp is not a disincentive to sign him. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, it makes sense.
Yeah, it could still happen for sure. But again, consistent evaluation going on there. I don't know how long they want to keep evaluating. I think this is your last week of evaluation. You know what I mean?
I always thought there was something monetarily involved too. If they were a part of the roster this way, that you have to pay more money than you would if they weren't a part.
No, I don't think money's a factor here. Not to my knowledge, I don't think money's a factor. I just think it's about, does he want to do it? Do the Colts definitely want to go down this road? Those kinds of things. I would just say though, they talk about wanting to take a longer look at this wide receiver group. Personally, as I just said, I think this is the last week for really looking at these guys. I'm not saying like next week doesn't matter at all, but it certainly matters a lot less. You got 2 joint practices against the Falcons. Like you're going to see these guys go up against first team defenders from another team. And then the preseason game, you won't get starters there. You'll have the backups play. Next week, you might get a little bit of a dress rehearsal. But I mean, at this point, coming out of this weekend, you got to know most of your 53, I feel like. So that's kind of where I'm at with it.
What do you think Anthony Richardson Sr. would ever have to do to change the notion of his head coach? Because obviously, I don't blame him because that's what you witnessed as the coach. But what would he have to do or do something consistently to change the notion that the head coach has on him right now, just in general terms of his quarterback play?
Well, I think he's doing the only thing he can do right now, which is just, show something. I thought he did. I really liked what he did in the preseason game. I mean, there's always going to be some Anthony Richardson isms, okay, in every game he plays, even when he plays well, right? And so the fumble, it's like, all right, man, you did so much good, and still you managed to kind of get yourself a little bit of a demerit, if you will. So I just think he's doing the only thing he can do, which is to kind of put some points on the board, and figuratively and literally, right? And I think in a bigger sense, the answer to your question is if he's called upon this year, he has to come through. It's just really that simple. If he's called upon to play this year, and God knows the odds are in favor of it happening, right? Okay, can we just go ahead and say it, right? The odds are in favor of it happening. Daniel Jones' injury history is ugly. It's ugly, and I think the world of Daniel Jones, but we got to call it what it is, right? The guy rarely plays a full season, so. If and when Anthony Richardson is called upon, and they haven't named him the number 2 quarterback, but if and when that happens, and he's called upon to play, he has to come through. And I think that is how you begin to change the narrative, both outside the building and inside the building with your own coach.
So, Steven, and it was Rick Venturi brought this up on the pregame huddle, and we kind of got into it, not got into it, but we got into the subject matter because he had thought Richardson, he would like to see him be utilized in a bit of the form of Taysom Hill has with the Saints. And I've often wondered this too, and I thought Rick made a good point as to why you have this type of talent, but obviously you have a lot of things that have held him back from being that starter, as we have witnessed. And you have the king of gamesmanship as a coach and gadgetry as an offensive coach. Why has he not been utilized, or why could he not be, or why does there not seem to be any interest in Richardson Sr. being utilized in that capacity?
Yeah, I had this very conversation with Rick, and I tend to agree with him. I think that if he's going to be on your roster, and you by now, if you're the Colts, you've paid him, I think, like, I don't remember the number, but it's like almost $30 million, right? So
yeah.
What are we doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, let's get something out of it, right? So I'm totally in favor of that. I think he not only could do it, but I think it would add a wrinkle that teams have to prepare for, and Shane loves that kind of thing. I also think that when Richardson is on the field, the difference it makes for Jonathan Taylor is huge. Now, Jonathan Taylor had a great season last year without Anthony Richardson, so I'm not saying that his success depends on this. But think about short yardage situations. You get into and this is where Shane loves to push the envelope and at least show that he's going to go for it, right, on fourth downs. You think about a fourth down situation or third and short situation, you bring Anthony Richardson into the game, you got Jonathan Taylor behind him, it's third and short. If I'm the defense, this could be read option, this could be just a straight running back dive. This could be, it could be anything, right? And so, he could roll out and throw it. You could talk about, putting the defense on its heels. I think that has a lot of potential, and it's got to be something they're at least thinking about, you would think.
Well, he runs all that gadgetry with Tyler Warren. He seems to me like he's the king of that stuff. And I thought maybe you would utilize it. It just doesn't seem like he has any interest whatsoever in doing that with Richardson.
It so far hasn't been the case. I would say you saw it back with Jacoby Brissett when Andrew Luck got healthy. You saw Frank Reich find ways to utilize Jacoby Brissett, who, by the way, is probably like 20% the athlete that Anthony Richardson is. Okay. And I love Jacoby, but let's be honest, right? Jacoby was big and powerful, and he was good at the QB sneaks and that kind of thing. But the potential and the possibilities with Anthony Richardson in those situations are far greater than they were with Jacoby Brissett, and they used that option, I thought, pretty regularly. So different coaching staff, obviously. But I'm just saying, as a point of comparison, I agree with you.
What is up with the Charvarius Ward back situation?
Oh, God. Hopefully not much. No one's given a lot of clarity about it, which is
I'm
not saying like he's done. I have no idea, but I would love somebody to be like, hey, call off the dogs. He's okay. This is not serious. And I just wish someone would say that, and they have not so far. It's just that, we're monitoring him, we're evaluating him. Now, devil's advocate, okay, he is so important to this whole thing. And I think his situation is so delicate, right, after last year.
Yes.
That if he's got a broken nail, he's not going to be out there, right? You have to assume that even if he's 95% and we're a month out from the season, you probably tell him, take a couple more days, big guy. So I understand I would be in favor of being unbelievably cautious, overly cautious with him. That being said, I just would like to have some peace of mind, or hear some peace of mind that this is not going to be a long-term thing. He is a 30-year-old corner, and that's when things start to crop up and they don't heal as quickly. And so age, it's not only the concussions, but also age is something we can't completely overlook there as well.
The one thing that concerns me more than anything else, and it is completely understandable, is what he has been through and the fact that he had, according to him, Charvarius Ward, he had a foot out the door. He had a foot into retirement. That is always a concern because it has often been said and measured that if you've had a foot in retirement, then your entire body is, and it makes it easier to make that decision the next time it swings around. That among just what he has gone through, and again, understandably so, is one of my major concerns.
I mean, look, I don't know. I think you're being a little dramatic. I mean, have you ever seen a guy retire in training camp?
Too
soon.
Thanks. Yeah.
But no, I mean, I get it. And not to be flippant about, Mooney's situation, certainly. Like, I mean, his tragic situation 2 years ago with his daughter. But I think that's still a factor, but this is also, I think his circumstances right now are mostly about, like, do you still want to do this? Do you still love this? And the thought of walking away from it apparently reinforced to him that he does. And I was heartened the last time I talked to him, the way he talked about, his appreciation and his zeal for being out there. It made me feel like, all right, he's really into this now, right? And he mentioned how, when he started his off-season workouts on his own, his private workouts, how he was working out with other NFL players and younger players and running circles around them. And I believe him. He looks good out there when he's healthy. And so he really got sort of like energized by that. So he mentally, he has been in a really good place. Okay. But these little things, these little setbacks, they're not good for that mental state, you would imagine. So hopefully nothing serious.
It's Stephen Holder of ESPN and ESPN.com talking Colts. We'll be up at Droplight at Grant Park. Westfield coming up on Thursday for this show, and DeForest Buckner will join us. This question is not about DeForest Buckner, however, it is about defensive line and Caden Curry. I'm biased. I want to see him, and I want to see him thrive. I was really excited the way that he played. And the one thing, Stephen, that I brought up is in comparison to that of Fernando Mendoza, they both in situations look like they did when they played at the highest levels in college. What was the Colts' impression on the debut of Curry from what you've heard?
Well, I mean, I think that's a huge step for him, right? And, the question for Curry, I think, was, is he quick enough and sort of, athletic enough to win on the edge? And then the other question was, if you move him inside, is he big enough and strong enough to win in there? And, he ends up or guys like him, they end up being a tweener, right? Which is, no one wants to ever be there, right? But I think what he did was he at least demonstrated that, like, there's a role that he could potentially fill. And it's a third down pass rush role. And if you can achieve that now, he's still not there, right? He's got to do it against, the first and second offenses. He's kind of mostly been second team, third team so far. But if he can show that he warrants some opportunity against better competition, and then he does it again against that better competition, well, now you're cooking with gas. So I think that, to me, is the question. And that has to be the next step. If you're the Colts, now you got to find out, okay? He did it against those backups. Well, give him a chance, right? Let's see if he can go do it against the big boys. And that's going to be the next step in the progression for him. But I think it gave them a vision for what he can be and what he can do. Because, we talk a lot about what guys can't do. Good coaches, and Shane I've talked to him about this. He's like, good coaching is finding out what someone can do, which, frankly, that kind of relates back to the Anthony Richardson conversation, I suppose. Right. But anyhow, I digress. But I think that's what they got to do here. I love the idea of getting him more reps against better competition, and let's see if he can do it. If he can't do it, maybe he goes to the practice squad and we try again next year, right? But let them try. And they need it. They need all the contributions they can get up front right now.
So Stephen Holder of ESPN and ESPN.com. I will see you up at Drop Light, Grand Park, coming up on Thursday, man. Thanks as always for hopping on here.
All right, you got it.
Stephen Holder of ESPN and ESPN.com's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Thursday, Drop Light, Colts Camp. That's at Grand Park. DeForest Buckner joins us then. We're at the Indiana State Fair, the Governor's Cup on Wednesday, and Taylor's Pub Ingles Tavern Tour Stop on Friday. Plenty of opportunities to join us on the show. Deep Purple, Kansas tickets as well. Also coming up, sit tight. Your calls, and IU starts the season ranked what, according to the AP? That and more coming up to close down things until 6 o'clock. We go with 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Hey, John, for the District Tap, you got 2 locations, Clearwater Crossing, Northside, downtown, Indianapolis. TheDistrictTap.com to find out about the damn good food, the happy hour specials. I mean, across the board, the happy hour specials are unmatched. And I've said this regarding whatever is going on at the Field House. You're downtown, a block away, post up there pre, and then your post-game celebration is there as well. It is easy. Also, the live music, the event space, and the catering you can find at the District Tap. 2 locations, Northside, Clearwater Crossing, downtown Indy. Michael and the gang have it literally cooking. TheDistrictTap.com.
The Ride with JMV.
JMV sucks.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
So everybody saw you in here over my shoulder telling me how to do this. I did it myself. You just had to tell me where to go.
I need to go find that in the YouTube stream. I forgot to turn the camera off in the break, and
I'm going to tell you, they better be on the YouTube stream because there's always some foolishness that happens. I've been wiping up blood on my arm, and listen, my last almost now 48 hours, I've been somewhat of a mess.
Yeah.
So I'm sick.
Well,
I got popped in the nose with an elbow and actually in the face with it. My face hurt all day yesterday because I got whacked right in the face with an elbow.
Would this be a good time to quickly touch on this? Because
Yeah.
I don't think we really explained what happened to you yesterday, dude.
So we're hooping right at Center Grove Central. I love it. Love the dudes we play with. 15 deep. We're going strong. 8 in the morning. And I take an elbow to the face. It was accidental. I wasn't mad about it. My nose was bleeding a little bit. I was just glad that it was in the nose area because Brad Sammons, the super dentist, would have had to have taken an emergency call had it been a little bit lower because the front teeth were going to get knocked out. And our guy, Matt, didn't mean to do it at all. My face was just kind of down there in the way, and boom, there it goes, elbow to the face. And then the same Met guy was dribbling. I turned around to get back on defense. I think he dribbled it off the back of my leg. You were sitting out.
I was
And
in
it completely
the game.
tripped me and knocked me down.
I was in the game, but I was like 5 feet from you. You were defending. You're picking up like
Yeah,
full court
I
because Matt was
was.
on the other side of half court, and Matt's crossing over, zigzag dribbling, and dribbles it right off your foot, and you go tumbling down.
I slid 20 feet.
like a slip and slide.
It was like a slip and slide because it was so hot and humid, and I was so incredibly sweaty. I slid 20 feet.
I thought you.
And we had to stop the game for about 10 minutes to wipe it up. It was awful.
I thought I saw your soul leaving your body as your arms kind of went down a little
fall
bit.
like I'm 95 years old.
That was just you. Like,
Yeah.
I'm done today. I'm giving up.
I fall like I'm 95, and my ass still hurts from that. Like when I lost all that weight, I think I lost a lot of ass, and it's nothing but just a little bit of cover back there and bone. And when I lost all that ass and there's just bone, I can't fall. I fall like I'm 95. I feel like, hey, I feel younger than 56 and a half. I think I play younger than 56 and a half. I'm still able to do things a lot younger than 56 and a half, but I fall down like I'm 95. And that's why Tucker Barnhart sent me the life alert. Because, I think one of these days I've fallen and I can't get up like the commercial. That's going to be in my cards. I don't know. I fall horribly. And it's always a mess, always a disaster. So I try to stay off the floor as much as possible. Yesterday was a mess. Then I woke up sick this morning. I have no idea why. I never get sick in the summertime. And this is like the first time in forever I've been sick in the summer. It's incredible.
Get ready to hear a rejoiner tomorrow that has something from the last.
Because I got no ass.
You say when you lost all that weight,
I just
you
have
lost
no.
all that.
I mean, I had a little cushion back there, and now I just got no ass. It like go straight down. And I don't know because I don't often look in the mirror, but I would guess I may have some serious old man ass right here.
Yeah,
I may.
I think you do.
I may.
I saw it. In
I
action
just
yesterday.
think there's just I think it's just a little bit of coverage back there, and that's it.
Yeah. Hey, there's more cottage cheese.
I need to get some junk in that trunk, I think. Man, it's been a mess. I think Todd was actually trying to find somebody to come in for me tomorrow because I was such a mess. I am rallying thanks to Jason Allen Hammer, Dr. Hammer, with his 4 o'clock recommendation. I needed that. I appreciate Dr. Hammer. Stephen Holder a moment ago, to podcast1075thefan.com. The various award stuff, that concerns me. And I've always said that when somebody has a foot out the door prior to, and you know what that somebody has been through, that is troublesome. Fever conversation, too, a little bit earlier. Hey, tomorrow's show, Greg Rakestraw, Rick Ventura, provided I'm going to be here, Rick Venturi for an hour, which is always awesome, and Charles Arbuckle from the Colts Radio Network. I will say this. If you've listened back on Thursday to the Colts pregame huddle, we have made some adjustments to it and added more of Rick Venturi. I thought that was outstanding, and we're going to do it live coming up on Saturday afternoon, or I should say midday, leading up to that 1 o'clock start, preseason game number 2. But, man, adding more of Rick has been an outstanding idea. And Rick gets on here, again, provided I'm going to be here tomorrow, for an hour coming up in the 4 o'clock hour of tomorrow's show. DeForest Buckner is on Thursday. We're going to be at Drop Light, Grand Park, and Westfield for that. He's going to join us as they got the combined practice with the Falcons. That is on Thursday in Westfield. Now, sandwiched on the outside, you have me at the State Fair, the Governor's Cup on Wednesday. Jake's going to be out there, too, as a precursor for me and this show. Jake will be out there as well coming up on Wednesday. And then a tavern tour stop. Taylor's, we're going to be in Ingalls. We've been there before. I love the place. Our guy Kyle, got Tony Renz, and you've got Brent Holverson. Tavern tour stop. Ingalls, Taylor's Pub, that is coming up on Friday. Can't wait for it. It's going to be an absolute blast. I did want to give you the information, and I mentioned this on Saturday night on the JMV Takeover, and I've mentioned this so far today. So when our neighbors need help, this is the biggest reason why I love this state and I love you guys, because everybody joins the action. You get involved. You don't stand on the sidelines. You get involved. And right now, families in our community facing the devastating effects of flooding, and they need us now more than ever. So Radio 1 Indianapolis, Fox 59, and CBS 4 joining the American Red Cross for disaster relief for those affected by the flood. Your donation could help supply safe shelter, meals, emergency supplies, and support as families begin to recover. And you can give right now. 1075thefan.com. Go there and check out how you can help our stations, our community standing together. 1075thefan.com. For so many, and I mean so many, from eastern Indiana to east central Indiana, Noblesville, Carmel, Ravenswood, the Broad Ripple area, on down with the White River, down to Waverly by me on the Morgan Johnson line. So many have been affected by this. 1075thefan.com. And again, the combination of Radio 1 Indy, Fox 59, and CBS 4 with the American Red Cross. It is disaster relief. Find out more right now and get involved. 1075thefan.com. And certainly we are thinking about you. Caleb's over there. I'm John right here. We'll come back for a final time. That is up next. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Connecticut Water Systems to the rescue. You do not have Connecticut. Well, I am here to tell you. I'm here to prompt you to get that going right now. It's very easy. Taking the first step is getting Joe or somebody at Connecticut Water Systems in your home for the absolutely free in-home water test. And then they'll find out exactly what they can do for you to make your water the best it can be. And not everybody's situation is the same. They're going to put something together that is specific, exclusive to your home water needs. That's Connecticut. Get started today with that free in-home water test. Tell my friend Joe that I sent you. Have the best water possible. Get that thing going right here and right now. Get signed up today. Connecticut.com.
The Ride with JMV.
When I lost all that weight, I think I lost a lot of ass.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
I have a case of old man ass. I don't know what it is. There a workout for me to gain some ass back without gaining? I don't want to gain weight, but I like to put a little junk in the trunk.
We could definitely.
Is anybody out there that's a workout specialist? Because listen, I lift weight, and obviously I run and do things like that. So for the arms and the legs, I've been working on forearms and things like that. But what can I do for my ass end? Because it hurts. Sometimes it hurts to sit in a chair for a while. I really think there's just like a little bit of bone and just a little bit of cover. It's like a tarp or something back there.
I guess I need
like a
to
blanket.
pay more attention on Sundays and Tuesdays. Like, you're probably not that hard to push around and try to box people out. But I will say, when you're guarding me, it gets a little handsy. It gets a little grabby.
I do grab.
You get up in
I
my
grab.
grill.
Well, I try to keep you. If you float on the outside, you help me defensively. If you move around, I'm blanked. So if you back cut me, like it's a win for me defensively if you don't move too much. And then you hit a couple of fades from the corner that really pissed me off yesterday too. And one because I got screened on the baseline. Nobody said anything. I think it was somebody actually yelled. It might have been, was it Wiseman or who was it that yelled and said, hey, help on the baseline. I'm like going out of bounds to try to get out of the way of somebody.
Yeah, I don't even remember.
I've said this too, and I've said this about bad defensive players on a much higher level. I just want to see, and I've said this about Halliburton in the past too, get in a stance and act like you're ready to play defense. And then at the very least, that could be viewed as a threat. And I said the same thing about Caitlin Clark. That's kind of what I do. It's like, I'm going to get in the stance and I'm going to play, but I can't guard a shadow. It's problematic. Thanks for that, though. I do need more abs. If somebody's got a workout for the rear end, let me know. I need a little bit more back there, I think, because it's far too sore.
We'll work on it during the breaks over here, guys, so please send your best suggestions.
I used outside the top 5 to start the season. Each of the last 4 times the reigning national champion was ranked outside the preseason top 5. The team finished the season unranked. 24 Michigan, 20 LSU, 11 Auburn, 08 LSU. IU fans don't want to hear that and probably aren't worried about that. Ellie De La Cruz for the Reds, by the way, struck out earlier today 4 times. Ellie, 2 for his last 34 in his last 9 games. Ooh. Not good. J-Law's at 239-1070. J-Law is good. Hello, J-Law.
Hey, how are you, buddy?
Good, pal. What's up?
Well, hey, I just wanted to put out there, I've got a gas-powered generator if anybody needs to borrow it.
Oh, okay. So if I tell you what, because I can get a hold of you easily. If somebody needs a gas-powered generator that are dealing with the floodwaters or flooding in and around their house, J-Law has a gas-powered generator that they can use. They can contact me, and then I will put them in contact with you. How about that?
Sounds great.
I appreciate it, man. You okay up there in Noblesville?
Yeah, I mean, I got a minuscule problem with my pool going on, but that's minor compared to everybody else.
Man, I'm telling you,
in
and around that area, and Carm, I could not believe the video from the bridge that was compromised off of Hazeldale. That's absolutely scary stuff.
Yeah, I was really worried about Potter's Bridge up here. It's 155 years old, but I think it's going to be okay. It was right up to the edge.
All right. And, well, if anybody reaches out to me, I'll get a hold of you, and we'll see you in Ingalls, I would guess, right? We're not too far from you. Ingalls on Friday?
No, that's when is that Thursday?
Yeah. No, it's on Friday. It's a Friday in Ingalls on the Tavern Tour stop.
I'm off on Friday, so that'd be cool.
Yeah, I know. We got a promo that's rolling around that has me like 19 different places that's inaccurate right here. We're going to have to fix that crap stat. It got me everywhere. It's got me down in Louisiana, I think, coming up at the end of the week. We're going to have to fix all this.
Well, I go home and get a hot toddy tonight.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. Todd has been I wonder if they're going to allow me to come back if I'm down with the sickness around here, buddy. So we'll see. We'll see.
Better.
I got to get right. Thanks, pal. Appreciate you.
All righty.
Thanks for the offer right there. If you need a gas-powered generator, J-Law's got your back. You get a hold of me, and I'll put you in touch with J-Law. All right. Yeah, we'll see. I tried to downplay the illness right here. I don't know if that worked in the building. I will say this. Dr. Jason Hammer got me going in the 4 o'clock hour. I appreciate that. Stephen Holder. Ted Bishop, podcast 1075thefan.com. Hey, let's do number 9 on the text line. Deep Purple in Kansas tickets. A week from tonight, Everwise. Number 9. 317-239-1070. You're a winner. 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Have a great night.